What's going on, everyone? I'm doing another reaction to the first time I'm watching a film. This week it is Unforgiven, a Clint Eastwood movie. I have never seen it before, so this shall be a really fun, exciting experience. I don't really know too much about this movie, but I've heard it's one of the all-time greatest westerns, so let's get this started real quick. Also, I apologize. My face is extremely red because I was super nervous about my fantasy football team just now. But thankfully, I won by a half a point. So I can sleep happy tonight. All right, let's get this reaction video started. Okay, I'm at the 13:25 mark in the film. I'm sitting here in the dark. It's pretty nice. And the movie opened in brutal fashion. I did not expect that to happen, but it did. And that was out of nowhere. But I rolled with it. And I can tell this movie is going to have a pretty simple plot. And yet it's going to be complex with his characters. Also, the performances thus far, especially from Clint Eastwood, are great. I'm used to seeing Clint as an older man, so it's nice to see him in a film where he's a lot younger. I don't usually watch movies where he's as young as he is here in Unforgiven, so I want to see how the rest of this film is going to play out. Now I'm at the 2050 mark. I kind of look at this movie like a re-coming of age. I don't know how else to describe it because in the film, Clint Eastwood's character is a retired gunslinger. He's coming out of retirement, and you can tell he's lost some of his footing. He has a lot of trouble shooting this can from just a couple of feet away with a pistol, and he also has a lot of trouble getting on his horse, so he's going to have to learn a lot of his old skills again. So that's how I kind of describe this movie. I don't know how else to say it again, but that's where I see this movie going. Clint Eastwood's character is going to have to relearn a lot of stuff here. About an hour through, I am really enjoying this movie so far. A couple of very intense scenes, especially the one with English Bob, where Gene Hackman is beating the crap out of him. I was on the edge of my seat. That was really well done. I also love the dynamic between our three leads, where you have the Schofield kid. He is overly confident in himself, but you know that he's not that smart as he comes off as, and he doesn't see too well. I love the dynamic between him as well as Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood's characters in this film. That is all great. This movie so far, very enjoyable. I decided to finish up the rest of the movie. Unforgiven is one of the best westerns I've ever seen. If you guys are a fan of the Red Dead Redemption franchise, I highly recommend you check out Unforgiven because it's very similar. It has a lot of dark themes. There are multiple great moments, and you have some of the best characters I've ever seen coming from a Western film. One of the best aspects to point out about Unforgiven has to be the captivating storytelling. This movie does not have as much action as some would hope for, maybe, but that does not mean this movie is boring. The storytelling is always intriguing, and you can tell this movie is going to build up to something big by the very end. Also, the characters are so well developed. Clint Eastwood in this movie, talking about great performances, this might be his all-time best. In the beginning of the movie, Eastwood's Will Money is someone who wants to honor his wife's memory as well as be a good role model for his kids by not going back to his killing ways. But as the film progresses and he starts to get his footing back, you can tell that he's not going to be the same character that he was at the start of this movie. He is now going back to his old ways, and no longer is he this good guy who doesn't want to do any harm to any other human. He is now going down the same route that his old self once went down, a cold-blooded killer that does not give any damns. This guy, if you cross him, will kill you. As for the rest of the cast, everyone is incredible across the board. Morgan Freeman, you never see him play a character like this, and he was excellent in the movie. Gene Hackman as this film's villain-ish, he is overbearing, horrifying, another guy that stands toe-to-toe with Eastwood's character in terms of one of the best characters in the movie. This is a scary performance coming from Gene Hackman. It also might be one of his best of all time. And last but not least, James Woolvett, who plays the character, the Schofield Kid, another really likable character. The character development for all these characters as well is on point, everyone develops from beginning to end, and there is not a single character who is left untouched. And while the film's action is not at a constant high volume, the movie makes up for it by adding so many memorable moments that you lose count. This movie, across the board, has memorable moment after memorable moment, and there is no end in sight. And let me say, for a movie that came out in 1992, it looks great. The cinematography is gorgeous. I could not even tell that this was a movie from the 90s. This looked like a modern day movie, and I was watching it on a DVD. So yeah, the film's cinematography is eye-popping and very impressive for a movie that came out in the 1990s. The movie also has a lot to say about death and talks a lot about how much of a toll killing can take on oneself. You may think the movie is not going to utilize those themes on every single character, but no, that's not the case. This movie does find a way to integrate those themes within every character, especially in the scenes when someone does have a chance to kill somebody else, and you get to see it full force right in front of our eyes what every single character does in those moments. That all leads into one of the most unpredictable finales I've seen in cinema. In fact, Unforgiven is fairly unpredictable as a whole. The movie doesn't give many hints as to where it's going next, and by the end of the film, you are left very surprised where the movie ends off on. So, I really enjoyed Unforgiven. This is a great movie. It has to be one of the best Westerns I've seen maybe ever. Sure, a lot of that has to do with Clint Eastwood, his directing, as well as him as the star in this film, because he is just so commanding on the screen, and seeing him in younger form is a pleasure, as well as seeing everyone else in this movie. Gene Hackman gives one of his all-time best performances. This movie is truly exciting for a movie that does not have that much action. For a Western, this is limited in terms of action, but has such good storytelling and great characters that I just don't care at all. If you have not seen Unforgiven, I highly recommend you check it out. I wanted to make sure I did not spoil this movie really much at all, because this is absolutely one you should watch without knowing much of anything. So I really recommend you guys check this movie out, because it has to be one of the best Western movies of all time. The critics were right. Based on my first reaction to seeing Unforgiven, I'm going to give this film a 99%. As stated, if you love the Red Dead Redemption video game franchise, this is a movie that feels like the film version of that video game franchise. So definitely check it out, especially if you love those video games as I do. Unforgiven is a great Western movie. I am so happy I checked it out. It's weird because movies that came out before the 2000s don't get as much credit as they deserve, or at least not as much credit as they deserve coming from people who aren't critics. Average moviegoers, those people mostly just watch the classics from the 80s, 90s, 70s, and before that. Unforgiven is a movie that, while it is loved by critics and some fans, I feel like not enough people have watched it. So yeah, absolutely go support this movie, watch it. And if you guys have any other movies you want to see me react to for the first time, let me down below in the comment section, guys. If you're new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this reaction video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.